tip-off of Game 1 of this best-of-3 GPAC semifinal series. The player introductions have just been completed. I'm Ron Kuipers along with Lori May. Thanks for tuning in to this afternoon's CKND Game of the Week telecast. We're going to take a look at the starting lineups for today's game, starting with the Winnipeg Wesmen, number 15, Jeff Foreman, John Matheson. Scott Anderson will wear number 15, Burke Taves, number 10, in his fifth and final year of eligibility, and Nick Jansen. On the other side of the hardwood, Eric Bridgeland. We'll be watching that Taves-Bridgeland matchup closely once again. The two Philman brothers, Greg and David, with Paul Bryant and Keon Filowich, the five starters for Rick Suffield. So it's second season time, Lori. It's put up or shut up time, I guess.
Well, Ron, in terms of these two teams, they've split going down throughout the regular season, and here we've got Winnipeg come down with the first possession.
And the ball game is underway. Jansen over to Taves. Taves moves around Bridgeland, drives, lays it up, gets the roll, and he'll open up the scoring. 2-0 Wesmen. And I guess it's only fitting that Taves opens up the scoring.
Well, he's definitely the impact player on the Wesmen side of the coin. And what we're going to have to do if we're Eric Bridgeland is we're going to have to make sure that we try and stop that penetration of Taves. That's what really hurts Manitoba.
This is Eric Bridgeland, number 4, in white for the Herd. Being watched closely by Taves. He'll put it up off the rim. Rebound by Foreman. Here comes Burke Taves.
Down at that offensive end, what we need is a lot more offensive movement by the Bisons.
Jansen to Matheson. Matheson's wearing number 23 in red. The jumper by Scott Anderson is good.
That's a good job by Scott Anderson. Coach Wedlake has to be happy with both buckets for the Wesmen coming from the paint this early in the game run.
Keon Filowich having a look to Paul the Bear Bryant. Back to David Philman in his fifth and final year of eligibility. Inside, Keon Filowich, and the Bisons are on the board.
Well, as we mentioned right at the top of this afternoon's show, Ron, that could be the meal ticket for the Bison in tonight's game. As we see what we have is Coach Wedlake starting with Nick Jansen on Keon Filowich. He's going to need a lot of help.
Jansen. He's 1 for 1 on the afternoon. 6-2, Wesmen on top. This is Greg Philman. He'll continue the Philman legacy for the next 3 years here at the Bisonese Gym. We expect to see a lot of that as the afternoon goes on. David Philman with an offensive rebound.
We get a shot of David there on the screen, the number 1 leading rebounder in GPAC, and we just saw why.
Taves, watched by Bridgeland, moves inside, lays it up. Another 2 for Burke Taves.
Well, that's going to get Coach Suffield up off his seat. That's the second time now that Taves has managed to go by Bridgeland just far too easy.
Greg Philman to brother David. David moves around Foreman, dishes it off to Filowich, off the glass.
Well, as we can see with Philman and Filowich, they're going right inside if they have to, right to one another. And that's really going to hurt the Wesmen.
John Matheson loses possession, gets it right back. He's got Greg Philman all over him. Dishes it off to Taves. Taves moves up, double team. Kept in by Jansen. Back to Taves. Taves will put it up.
Excellent shot by Burke. There's not much you can do if you're the Bisons. What we had was great defense by Bridgeland, then a wonderful rotation by Paul Bryant, Ron. And once again, Taves in that coffin corner, everybody in his face, and he hit it.
David Philman is fouled. Charles Sabourin getting ready to get into the ball game for Winnipeg Wesmen. Jeff Foreman fouled, or draws the foul rather. Let's take a look at that three-pointer by Burke Taves once again, Laurie.
Well, as we can see, we've had that rotation, and then we've got Eric Bridgeland come out. But once again, what you've got to do is you've got to be on Burke all the way. When Eric did come out, he had his hands down, and you can't put your hands down against Burke Taves anywhere in the forecourt. He's going to hit it.
Greg Philman to Bridgeland. Bridgeland picks up 2.
Well, that's a good job for Eric. He needed a hit early. He's been up and down this year, especially against the Wesmen. And if he can hit, what that might be able to do is counteract Taves from outside.
Rebound Wesmen, John Matheson. Good rebound.
Good hustle by Johnny Matheson. As we mentioned earlier, Ron, when you and I were talking, in terms of most improved player of the year, that's the man that gets my vote.
And you mentioned that big basket by Eric Bridgeland on our last Game of the Week telecast from the Athletic Center last Saturday. He managed to pick up just 1 point in the first half alone. He finished the afternoon with 13.
Well, as you're mentioning, in terms of Eric has to get off to a good start. Everybody is expecting a lot of things from Eric, and what a lot of people seem to neglect on is the fact that he's only in his rookie year here at Manitoba.
There you see the foul called against Keon Filowich.
That should be Bison ball.
That foul was against Greg Philman. I'll correct myself, and it is, in fact, Bison ball. 16-14 is the time remaining in the opening half. The Wesmen 12, Bisons 8.
Well, as we mentioned at the top of this afternoon's telecast, the fact that the Bisons were going to come out strong and go at the Wesmen, and the one thing we had to wonder is how they were going to counteract. As we've seen what they've come out themselves, not only counteract, but they're counter-punching, and they're really starting to hurt the Bisons. And once again, here's Burke Taves in that penetration, which the Bisons have to stop.
Jansen with the jumper. He picks up 2, 14-8 Wesmen. Craig Philman will bring the ball back down the other way for the hustle and herd.
Nick Jansen, one of the quiet men there for Coach Wedlake, Ron, and he really seems to have good games against the Bisons. He really hurts them.
Count it. Eric Bridgeland. He's fouled.
You get a good shot there of Eric on your screen. As we see the replay here, what happens is Eric comes out, he's challenged by Burke, goes by Burke, and the rotation by the Wesmen is a little bit slow. Nick Jansen gets called for the foul, and Eric Bridgeland will go to the foul line to try and complete the three-point play.
And Eric Bridgeland does so. He's off to a much better start than we've seen in any of our Game of the Week telecasts in which he's been featured.
Well, Eric is a very emotional player, Ron, and if he can start very quickly, he could be a very determining factor in this game.
Eric Bridgeland. Just a touch off the mark.
Well, what happens there, you got to give full credit to Burke Taves. Burke came in and he stood his ground. Eric, not wanting to pick up the offensive foul, held out a little bit and managed to just choke that one around the rim.
Taves to Matheson. Matheson being watched by Philman, dumps it off to Anderson. Anderson tries to spin around Bryant, can't do it. Three-pointer doesn't go. Defensive rebound this time around for David Philman. Off to Greg. Greg Philman to Bryant. Bridgeland, watched by Taves. Philman puts it up with the right hand and through. Swish.
Well, if you're the Bisons, you're going to take that one, but I'm sure that Coach Suffield is going to want Dave to be a little bit more solid on his feet when he lets those go.
And we don't anticipate seeing David Philman taking too many shots from that far out. Pulls the Bisons to within 1.
John Matheson, once again, as I mentioned at the top of this afternoon's telecast, he gets my vote for probably the best in terms of most improved player in GPAC. And Greg Philman's going to have to work hard both outside and down inside to stop John.
16-15. Wesmen on top.
Well, that's David Philman once again. That shot's much better. David can hit that 15 to 17-foot jump shot if he manages to get in sync. There's Filowich with a good steal ahead to Bridgeland.
Bridgeland doesn't get the roll. Wesmen turned the ball around. David Philman leading all scorers at this point with 8 points.
Well, that's the second one that hasn't gone down for Eric, and it might bother him a little bit. Good look by John Matheson. He looks underneath for Charles Savarin. We got the offensive glass being picked up by Scott Anderson. Coach Suffield not happy with that. What happens for the Bisons? They're going to have to block out a lot better than that down at the defensive end.
Correction, David Philman has 6. Make it 8.
David's on fire for Manitoba. What we're going to have to do is we make sure that we get the ball down in the paint to David, and he can really hurt the Wesmen down there. What's going to have to happen is Coach Wedlake's going to have to start rotating Jansen, Foreman, and Savarin, see which one can do the best job on David Philman down low.
Taves barking out instructions, getting things set up. Matheson with all kinds of time. He plants it. It's 20-17. Wesmen on top. 12:35 is the time remaining in the first half. Bridgeland brings the ball down court. Greg Philman left behind as he does up his shoelace. He's back into your picture. Bridgeland, nice moves, and he gets the roll.
It's a good job by Eric as he moves the ball inside. It seems what we have right now, anyway, with his first 6 minutes or so, we got the Wesmen from the outside, the Bisons moving the ball inside to the paint, and we're going to see which one manages to continue as this game goes on.
Eric Bridgeland with 7 points. Bert Taves with 6. 44 is on the arm underneath. Keon Filowich, as you take a look at some of the animals here in the zoo, or the jungle, and the Bisons in the jungle for this, at this point of the season anyway, finished the regular season 10 wins as opposed to just 1 loss, and if it wasn't for a technical, it would have been 11-0.
Yeah, as we mentioned at the top of the telecast, the Bisons feel pretty comfortable here in this jungle, and they've got to feel real good about not having to see the athletic center again.
Travel called against Scott Anderson, no basket.
Well, if you're Coach Suffield, you got to be a little bit worried, Ron. That's the 3rd time now that Scott Anderson has managed to get the ball off that defensive glass, and he can't be very happy about that.
This is Garth Thompson now into the ball game. Some good work underneath. He'll go to the line to complete the 3-point play.
Garth Thompson, 3rd-year player out of Crocus Plains out in Brandon. Real tough, hard-nosed player. He's in there, of course, to make sure that people such as John Matheson and Scott Anderson don't get those easy offensive rebounds. You get a look here at Garth. First of all, goes up, regains his balance, and goes up real strong. That's what you got to do.
And he completes the play. And the Bisons on top, 22-20. Mark Kalinowski into the ball game for the Herd as well. He's wearing number 22.
Good tough man-to-man here by the Bisons.
Some tough play.
I think that foul's going to go against Garth Thompson. Yeah, as you get a look here on the screen, once again, the penetration, Thompson's going to rotate, but he gets there just a little bit too late. Good call by official Ken Epp as he comes off the baseline.
Number 11 in red is Larry Wandowich. Number 5 is Ron Lutzer. They are into the ball game for Bill Wedlake. As is number 21, Jeff Foreman.
Larry Wandowich, once again, down inside, can really work hard. He played his high school ball for Coach Wedlake over at St. John's. Ron Lutzer played for our junior coach, Mr. Larry Sodchuk, over at Miles Mack High School in northern Winnipeg.
Bert Taves is 2 for 2 at the line. That ties this game at 22 with 11.5 minutes remaining. Eric Bridgeland slows things down, bounces it off to Garth Thompson. Thompson moves up, he's triple teamed, gets it off to David Philman. Some tough defense by the Wesmen.
Well, what we have that time is the first time we've seen it in this game. The Wesmen go to that 1-3-1 zone that gave Manitoba real problems last week, especially last Friday at the Athletic Center. But what we have here is good penetration, good look by Garth Thompson as he gets it down to Philman, who goes one-on-one with Anderson. Scott figured he blocked most of the ball, which he did. Unfortunately, followed through and got David Philman.
Philman, 64% from the line this year. Misses his first one. This game remains tied at 22 apiece. One for 2 as you take a look at the premier of the province and Greg and David's dad, Gary Philman, in attendance as he usually is for a Bison game.
Good strong man-to-man once again by the Bisons.
Bert Taves pulls it up. And he's fouled. Number 4, Eric Bridgeland, will pick up the foul.
Once again, Eric's having a little bit of a problem in terms of stopping that penetration by Burke. And if we're Manitoba, that's what we have to stop. We cannot let Bert Taves get into the paint area. We must physically stop the basketball.
Bert Taves at the line once again for the Wesmen. Bert Taves and David Philman are the only 2 fifth-year players, and all what they're doing is they're enjoying their final, what could be, for one of them anyway, is the final playoff series of their university career.
Well, on that point, Ron, I'll tell you, knowing both of these individuals very well, neither of them wants it to be their last, and they're going to fight tooth and nail here this weekend.
Burke Taves with 10 points in the opening half so far. Kalinowski back to Thompson. Thompson moves up and moves back out. Eric Bridgeland moves to his right. Kalinowski now on the other side, all the way across to Thompson. Thompson very quickly to Dave Philman. Philman turns around off the glass, nowhere near, and the Wesmen turn it over. Burke Taves quickly down court. Matheson thought about it, off to Lutzer, and Lutzer has the range.
Good job by the Wesmen. First of all, what we have is Manitoba did get the ball inside to Philman down at the offensive end. They crushed down on Philman very well, and then once again running the break, kick the ball out, hit the open man, and pick up the easy three.
Ron Lutzer in his second year as a member of the Winnipeg Wesmen. Bridgeland for three. Count it.
That's going to bring Coach Suffield up off the bench. What we have, 3 officials here in GPAC. Somebody's got to be watching for the contact after the shot. As far as Coach Suffield was concerned, Bridgeland was fouled after he let that go.
Wesmen come right back down, pick up a couple more. They lead 28-26. Bridgeland, by the way, has 10 points. So the Taves-Bridgeland matchup that we've talked about for weeks now in GPAC is finally materializing the way we were hoping. Bisons come right back up to tie it at 28. Keon Filowich.
Well, in terms of the Bisons, there's a lot better ball movement. They're handling the 1-3-1 zone of the Wesmen a lot better than they did last weekend.
Good drive by John Matheson.
Cardinal sin there by the Bisons, giving Matheson the baseline. And, of course, when you've got that much talent, you can really take advantage.
Eric Bridgeland is on a roll. His second consecutive three-pointer. 31-30 Bisons. Burke Taves was shaking his head, looking at his bench. They're going to have to shut down Eric Bridgeland. Lutzer to Taves. Watched by Bridgeland. Back to Lutzer. Lutzer moves to his left to Matheson. Matheson, quick ball movement. Jansen back in the ball game. Foul called.
That foul is going to go on Mark Kalinowski. Allowed Lutzer to get inside. Going to get the foul for going over the back. If we look at the situation here, we're 31-30 with the Bisons with over 8.5 minutes left in this first half. For a lot of people, they might figure there's not very much defense going on. But quite the contrary, Ron, there's some real good defense going on. There's just some excellent offensive execution going on here.
Again, a number of substitutions by both coaches. We'll try and sort it out for you as play goes on. This is David Zagordo, number 14 in red. That'll be a Wesmen ball. Nope.
No, that's gonna go to Manitoba. What happened? Got a costly turnover here, and John Matheson picking up a silly foul. He's not happy with that.
If he didn't pick up the foul, it would have been a Wesmen ball. Speaking of Wesmen, Burke Taves taking a breather, his first of the ball game. He sits down with 10 points under his belt with 8:35 left to play in the opening half. Bridgeland back to Philman to Garth Thompson. Bridgeland, he'll take 2 this time around.
Well, the situation that we have now, one of the reasons that the Bisons are handling this 1-3-1 zone a lot better than they did last weekend, Ron, is the fact that Eric Bridgeland is starting to do what he does best, and that's shoot the basketball.
Shooting the lights out at this point. He's got 15 first half points. Charles Sabarin. Little too much muscle on that ball, and here come the Bisons. Greg Philman. He'll move up, try to dish it off to Dan Brown, who's into the ball game for the Herd.
Well, what we had there was a good job by Greg Philman. He saw the lane and he took it. He's trying to penetrate against that 1-3-1 and then dish the ball off. Excellent execution by Greg Philman.
Greg Philman is a second-year art student here at the University of Manitoba, and as I mentioned, David Philman is playing his last home series as a member of the Bisons. His university career winding down. Greg Philman's more or less just beginning. Dan Brown all the way across to Bridgeland. Bridgeland moves up, drives. Yes!
It's a good job by Eric. We've seen it on both sides of the court. If we're the Bisons playing defense and we give up the baseline, we get burnt. Same thing here. If you get a look at this one, here comes Burke Taves. He's a little bit too strong in terms of the way he's standing. He gives Bridgeland the baseline, and he takes it and picks up the foul as Charles Sabran is late as he rotates down to try and take Bridgeland at the baseline.
This is the 4th time this season that we have covered a Manitoba Bisons basketball game, and this is what we have been anticipating we would get all season long, and we're getting it this afternoon on CKND Game of the Week. Eric Bridgeland is on quite a roll. 36-30, Manitoba on top with 7.5 minutes remaining. Burke Taves off the glass, rebound, Dan Brown. Taves steals it. Good play.
Excellent job by Burke Taves. You got to wonder just what goes through a ball player's mind. First of all, not only when he's going down the court, but also working hard under the boards. And as we can see, a player the caliber of Burke Taves is thinking all the time.
Red 2-0 pushes him out. Well, you heard the official make the call. Red 2-0. That's Nick Jansen.
Nick just got a little bit too aggressive there in trying to free someone up. As you can see on your screen, in terms of Ron talking about what we are expecting all season, you get a rundown of what's happened this season between the Bisons and the Wesmen. And as we can see, it's 3-2 in terms of the series for the Bisons. What we had was a split, an even split in the GPAC regular season games, and the Bison winning the first game in the GPAC preseason tournament that was held here at Manitoba.
Bisons finished the regular season in 2nd place with a 7-5 record. Wesmen 3rd with a 5-7 record. Brandon, of course, on top at 10-2. They're enjoying the weekend off, and the winner of this series will travel to Brandon next weekend. The winner of that series moves on to Halifax for the CIAUs. It's March Madness, folks. Great filming. Older brother David right there to put it away for him. Timeout called by Bill Wedlake.
Good job by the Bisons as they move the ball up the floor and fill the lanes.
38-30, Manitoba on top. You're watching CKND Game of the Week.
It's a thing called Husky Pride. It's a feeling deep inside.
At Husky, we take pride in serving you. That means we take the time to do things right. Wherever you drive, you'll find a friendly smile and peace of mind. That's the spirit of Husky Pride. We show it and you'll know it. At Husky, we're always ready to look after you.
Tell you something, Preston. I'll burn my station down before I play any of that jungle noise of yours.
Well, I got a woman.
You ain't never gonna be a success, kid, no matter how much you want.
She's good to me.
I never met a guitar picker that was worth a damn.
I got a woman.
You've been a big influence on me.
It was a tough road out there.
I don't gotta prove nothing to nobody but myself.
Elvis, Sundays at 6.
I just want to show him, man.
They keep at this pace, both teams are going to be in triple figures.
We're not going to argue if that's the case this afternoon. Great basketball game up to this point, and there's lots left. 6:57 is the time remaining on the clock. Manitoba with an 8-point lead. And Eric Bridgeland, the story of the game thus far, he has 18 first-half points.
Well, what we have in terms of Eric Bridgeland, when we talk about Eric, you've got to talk about shooting the basketball. Coach Suffield, when he went down to Colorado to get Eric, one of the first things that he managed to tell me was he was amazed at the confidence that the young man shot the ball with. We've now started to see it here this afternoon, and hopefully for the Bisons it would continue.
Here comes Eric Bridgeland, hoping to continue his streak. He has 2 3-pointers in the ball game so far.
We have a look at the Wesmen. Of course, what we see in terms of that timeout with Coach Wedlake is a change in the defensive assignments, and Coach Wedlake has gone straight back to a man-to-man.
Bridgeland finally misses one. Burke Taves walks the ball across center court. Zagordo. He's trying to get things organized. Goes around Greg Philman. Bounce pass underneath. Nick Jansen double team. Gets the shot off and through.
Super job by Nick in terms of holding, waiting for his time and putting the ball up over 2 Bisons to cut that to a 6-point lead.
Brown is being watched by Jansen. Greg Philman moves to his right, goes around Zagordo. Nice touch. He just laid it up there.
Well, you get a look there at not only how surprisingly quick Greg is, but how much ground that Philman can cover.
Taves. Sabourin back out to Jansen. Jansen with the jumper. Off the mark, and it's a white ball.
Well, in terms of Winnipeg, with their offensive scheme of things, they managed to free up Jansen right in that foul line area. And Nick, although he doesn't take very many shots, when he does, he's very accurate, and he's really hurt Manitoba a lot this year.
Garth Thompson, Dan Brown take a seat. Keon Filowich and Paul Bryant back into the ball game. For the Bisons, Zagordo out for the Wesmen. And Ron Lutzer is back in. This is the Bear. The southpaw. Foul against the Bisons.
Dave Philman pleading there. What happened was as he went up for that rebound and tried to put it back up, he felt he was fouled. As we see Paul Bryant move against this new defensive alignment, the Wesmen in a 2-3 zone. What we have there is on the other side of the screen, Philman thought he was pushed before Filowich was called for going over the back.
Filowich picks up his second personal of the half. Burke Taves, Charles Sabourin, former Manitoba Bison. There's a battle for the ball, and the Bisons win it.
Great ball check by number 12, Greg Philman of the Bisons.
Charles Sabourin was telling me earlier in the week he would love nothing better than to beat his old ball club.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The year that Chuck played here, he worked very, very hard, and of course it gives you that extra incentive.
Burke Taves gets the roll. He goes coast to coast.
Well, right there, we're going to see the death knell of the Bisons if they don't manage to stop the penetration by Burke Taves. They physically have to stop the basketball.
Bison's trying desperately to get a good lead going. Wesmen will have none of it. Greg Philman, short, rebound Wesmen. Lutzer around Bridgeland. He'll move to his left. This is John Matheson. Waiting for things to happen. Burke Taves now with the ball, saying, settle down, guys. Inside, Sabourin off the glass.
It's a good job by Burke. Just as you mentioned, Ron, he settles things down, takes the ball out, draws the Bisons to him, and flips it into Sabourin for the easy two. Winnipeg goes back to the 1-3-1 zone. What we have here, U of W switching it up, man-to-man, 1-3-1 and 2-3. Rebound,
Chuck Sabourin. Lutzer, down court to Matheson. Matheson. The foul will go against Keon Filowich. Rick Suffield at the bottom of your screen. Can't believe it.
Well, that's going to bring the whole coaching staff up. You get a look there at head coach Rick Suffield and assistant coach Tony Scott in terms of what we're looking at. That was a real soft third foul for Keon Filowich.
That's Filowich's third foul. Let's take a look at the steal that happened just a few moments ago. As you mentioned, great job by Greg Philman in the right place at the right time. Just jabbed out his right hand and said, thank you very much, we'll take that.
Good reaction by Greg. Now we've got to look at Burke Taves here to shoot two. Coach Suffield still steaming about the third personal that was given to Keon Filowich. And a lot of us here in the stands might think that Coach Suffield has a case.
Burke Taves has 14 first half points.
Mark Kalinowski into the game for Manitoba. He's there, of course, to provide that other shooter on the three-point line to work against this 1-3-1 zone.
Mark Kalinowski hits a three-pointer.
And there we go, just before I get it out of my mouth. Good rotation by the Bisons, and Marks hits the three. That's what he was in the game for.
We'll give you credit for it, Laurie.
Good defense by number 32, Paul Bryant, as he drives the charge from John Matheson. And that looks like that will go down as probably John's second.
John Matheson, as you mentioned, with his second foul of the first half. Eric Bridgeland setting things up for the Herd. Kalinowski bounces it off to Bryant. He dishes it off and gets it right back.
Good patience here by the Bisons. Paul Bryant looks inside. That should be Bison ball.
Berg Taves coming from out of nowhere, anticipating the play. John Matheson will take a breather for Bill Wedlake into the ball game. Number 22, Jason Friesen.
Jason Friesen from Mennonite Brethren down in his high school years. Really strong ball player inside and outside.
Solid rebound by the Bear, Paul Bryant.
Bisons come back, no token pressure, come straight back and going to play tough man-to-man here.
Sabarin comes back with two of his own, a semi-hook shot of sorts.
Well, in terms of Chuck, he takes up a lot of space in there, posts up really well, and he's starting to get on a roll. And if you're Coach Suffield of the Bisons, you don't want to see that.
Battle for the ball. Burke Taves wins it. Stops, has a look, moves in. That's an easy two for Burke Taves.
Penetration once again. I know we're starting to sound real repetitive here this afternoon, Ron, but you've got to stop Burke Taves. You let him get in that paint area, the Wesmen are going to hurt you.
Bridgeland close. Rebound, Bryant. Bisons lead it by 3. Minute 41 is the time remaining in the first half. Bridgeland back to Kalinowski. He had to reach for it. Bryant.
What the Bisons have to do, show some patience. There's still 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Get some ball movement here. Let's try and open Kalinowski or Bridgeland.
Or pick up a rebound by David Philman. He's fouled.
Good shot by Mark Kalinowski off the ball movement, nice and easy. It's a good shot. More importantly, as we get a look here on the screen, there's Mark uncontested. It's a good shot in rhythm, doesn't go in, but here's the big guy right there, number 55, David Philman, going up strong, and he draws the foul.
So Philman will go to the line. 6 foot 10 inch, third-year Westman Chuck Sabarin picks up his second foul of the half. Philman at this point at the line with 11 first half points. And here come the Westmen. Chance to pull to within 1 or tie it up with a three-pointer. Jeff Foreman. Westman ball. He had David Philman all over him.
Well, what we had there is a nice little move by Jeff Foreman, first-year player out of Windsor Park. Nice move, and we're going to get a look at it here as he goes baseline, comes across, and what he had Philman turned inside and out, but he lost control of the ball.
Nice shot by Nick Jansen. He just jumped up, top over everybody, and laid it up with his right hand.
Well, one thing noticed all year in terms of Nick Jansen, what he's going to do is he's going to really hurt you. He takes only about 5 or 6 shots, but he seems to hit him all the time. And whoa, here we go. Light it up, Eric Bridgeland.
That comes with 50 seconds remaining in the opening half. That's his third three-pointer of the first half. 48-44. 21 first half points, and the Bisons keep the ball alive. Good play by David Philman. Mark Kalinowski coming down court.
Great hustle by David Philman.
Bridgeland thought about it, moves it back outside. Kalinowski inside, Philman back out to Bridgeland. He's got all day. Here comes Burke Taves, 20 seconds left.
Coach Wedlake's going to go for one shot here, Ron. Nice ball movement on the last series by the Bisons. Put the ball inside to Philman and drew the whole zone over. Gave it over to Bridgeland, wide open shot. Unfortunately for the Bisons, just didn't go in.
7 seconds to go. Taves for 3. Air ball. 3 seconds left. 48-44 Bisons.
Well, if you're Coach Wedlake, you might want to wonder. It's a little bit too early to let that go.
Bridgeland from half court. Pretty darn close.
Well, excellent job by both teams. You look at a 48-44 halftime lead for the Bisons. Real excitement here this afternoon. You get a good look at Coach Wedlake on our screen as he's leaving. A lot of action here, as we said, 48-44. A lot of scoring. An excellent job by both teams, and some real exciting basketball here. Playoff action, GPAC style here this afternoon, Ron.
Eric Bridgeland, 21 points for the Bisons. Burke Taves with 16. We're at the half. Stay with us. Lots more of Game of the Week coming up.
Hi, I'm here to tell you...
We're here to tell you
about the huge selection of cars here in Steinbach.
we have 2-door,
And 4-door cars.
2-wheel drive,
And 4-wheel drives.
front-wheel drive.
And rear-wheel drives.
We have cars for everybody and every budget.
Economy, luxury, performance, cars and trucks.
At Steinbach, we're many car dealers with thousands of cars and trucks to choose from.
Visit the Steinbach Auto Dealers because our selection always makes it worth the trip.
It's all so boring here, Margot. There's nothing but playboys and tennis pros. If only I could find a real man.
She'll call you back.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond.
Timothy Dalton makes his television debut as debonair secret agent 007 in James Bond, The Living Daylights, Sunday at 8 on CKND TV.
It's halftime back here at the Bison East Gym, otherwise known today as the Jungle. Welcome back to CKND Game of the Week, everybody. I'm Ron Kuipers, and I'm joined by the president of Manitoba Basketball Coaches Association, Brent Corrigan. Brent, you have a number of special events coming up that you'd like to get the word out today.
Yeah, we've got our annual All-Star Games and Awards Banquet coming up on April 7th to be held here at the University of Manitoba.
Now, you have a guest speaker that you're very proud to be presenting.
Yeah, we were very lucky this year to get Mr. Wayne Hussey, who's the coach of the women's national team in Canada, come here from Ottawa. He'll be arriving to speak at that, and also to be at a coach's semi-annual meeting we're holding the day before, April 6th, at the University of Winnipeg.
What other functions are coming up?
Well, basically the provincials are coming up right away, and we've got a number of awards that we'll be handing out at our banquet, the Carl Ritt Award, Mike Spack Awards, the All Manitoba teams, an awful lot of awards, kind of a wrap-up to the high school season.
Brent, tell us who this is open to.
Oh, it's open to anybody who's a coach in Manitoba. We're kind of billing the awards day as a graduating players game also, so we'd like to get an awful lot of high school players out, and the tickets will be available throughout March from high school coaches or from Basketball Manitoba.
All right, well, best of luck and enjoy the rest of the game. Brent Corrigan, the president of the Manitoba Basketball Coaches Association. We'll be right back with more of CKND's Game of the Week. Stay with us.
Pursuing a full-time job can also mean a life of adventure in the Canadian Forces Reserve. An active, fulfilling professional life, plus an exciting part-time military career. Join the Reserve. Call now.
The spirit of John Warrenfield still walks the halls of the Briarcliff Hotel. Do you believe that legend, Miss Warrenfield?
Yes.
Why?
I've seen things.
Isn't it true you believe the figure that chased you down the hall was the ghost of your grandfather?
It was my grandfather.
Do you expect us to believe it?
It's what I saw.
Game one of this GPAC basketball semifinal is 20 minutes old, and the Bisons lead by 4. Welcome back to the Bison East Gym, everybody. Ron Kuipers along with Laurie May. Eric Bridgeland dominated an extremely exciting first half. He is now just 8 points shy of tying his season high total of 29.
Well, Eric's doing just exactly what Coach Suffield brought him up for, and that, of course, is to shoot the basketball. We get a look here on our screen. Good ball movement by the Bisons, and then what we do is Eric, right in rhythm, three-pointer, and for Coach Wedlake, that spells disaster. You got to get out there and stop him.
On the other side of the court, Burke Taves leading the Wesmen with 16.
As you see Burke, as he moves, this is the thing the Bisons are going to have to do, is stop the penetration by Burke Taves. He's just simply too good of a ball player. As he gets into the paint, the Bisons are going to get hurt.
We wonder now, Laurie, if both teams, and especially players like Burke Taves and Eric Bridgeland, can keep up the pace for the following 20 minutes.
Well, I feel that that's definitely not in doubt at all, Ron. As you mentioned, 20 minutes old here this afternoon, the start of game one. These teams are both pumped. They're ready to go. You don't have to worry about Eric Bridgeland or Burke Taves running out of gas ever.
All right, we don't plan to run out of gas either. Stay with us. The second half will begin in just a moment.
Some people will do whatever it takes to catch the Daily Deal winning results, Monday through Saturday night, only on CKND First News at 10:30.
Booker's a private eye who doesn't need to look for trouble. It knows where he lives.
He ain't a cop no more. We ought to be nailing him to a wall.
Aren't you guys a little early? I thought the party was until Saturday night.
Action.
1001.
Danger.
1002.
Excitement.
1003.
To some, it just comes naturally. Count on Booker.
Tuesdays at 9.
Announcing a success story. The Variety Club Telethon 10th Anniversary Special. Sunday, April 1st. 14 hours of variety entertainment live.
Open your heart, Manitoba, and enjoy the show.
Why did Alto's Family Restaurants commit $50,000 to the Variety Club Telethon? Because we believe in Variety's projects, and especially Variety's children. Give a kid a chance.
Variety, the children's charity on CKND.
Next on Knots Landing.
How in the world can they ever press charges against me?
Now there are no witnesses.
There's going to be some way for me to go back and practice medicine.
It violates our contract with Witsex.
The man who's after me, he thinks I'm dead.
You will be dead if you do this.
She has set her sights on you.
She doesn't have to have her sights set on me. What turns you on?
Anything I've never done before. We're very lucky.
I know. Why don't you stay the night?
Second half just about set to begin. It'll be Wesmen ball on the possession. 48-44 is the count at halftime. And again, I can't emphasize enough, that was a really fast-paced and very exciting opening first half. It's playoff basketball, Laurie.
Well, there's definitely no doubt about it, Ron, in terms of playoff basketball. Excellent hard-nosed defense, and down at the offensive end, some real good execution by the ball players. 48-44 at the half. Let's see what we're in store for here this afternoon in this second half.
I, of course, completely forgot that, hey, the teams change ends at the half. The Bisons with possession to start off the second half. Bridgeland bumps Taves. Suffield is on his feet, bottom left of your screen, wanting a foul. Bridgeland won't get it. He'll back up slowly, assume his position on defense. Here come the Wesmen.
Well, Coach Suffield, as you mentioned, looking for a foul there, but in terms of any action or reaction, all of the action was caused by Eric Bridgeland, and at this particular time, a good no call. But Coach Suffield wants to get in there. He's got official right in front of him. It's a good job. Let's try and sow some seeds for a little bit later in this second half.
David Philman. Bison ball, great hustle by Philman.
Good hustle by Philman, working real hard. That ball goes off of Nick Jansen, and the Bisons are going to inbound it on the end line.
David Philman picking up 11 first half points. Greg Philman, watched by Taves. Philman gets it back. Paul Bryant moves up to Philman. Philman loops it up.
Good job by the Bisons. Excellent ball movement.
They now lead by 6. We're early in the second half here from the Bison East Gym. I'm Ron Kuipers along with Laurie May. We hope you're enjoying this afternoon's CKND Game of the Week telecast. Nick Jansen. Nothing but net.
Once again, we mentioned it earlier this afternoon. Nick Jansen really has the ability to hurt the Bisons, Ron. He doesn't take that many shots, but the shots that he takes, he shoots upwards around of 90-100% from the floor, and next thing you know, you turn around, and Nick Jansen ends up with 14, 16 points that really hurt the Bisons.
Bryant turning around jumper. Rebound Wesmen. There were 2 of them there. Matheson comes away with it.
In terms of the Bisons, have to be a little bit more patient on the offensive end of the floor and get a lot more ball movement.
Taves calls for it and gets it. Puts it back to Matheson. Matheson is fouled.
Excellent job for those of you that are out there that are just learning the game. That's one of the nicest executions of a give and go that you're going to see by 2 excellent GPAC players. You're going to get a look here. The pass went into Taves, and then you have John Matheson cutting hard to the hole and gets it back.
Great pass by Burke Taves. Matheson at the line.
John, one to come.
He had 10 first half points.
Got a little smile there from John Matheson. He was a little happy that he got the roll, that one went in, but that one, of course, not as fortunate.
He's 1 for 2. He was 76% on the season from the line. 50-47. Manitoba leading the University of Winnipeg.
Excellent move by Philman.
And a great rebound by Philman.
Just there we saw an example of why number 55 for the Bisons, David Philman, is the #1 rebounder in GPAC.
And at the other end of the court, a great drive by John Matheson.
Well, what we have is good reply by Matheson. Once again, what we need if we're Manitoba, we have to A, stop the penetration by Burke Taves, and B, of course, what we have to do is start to rotate a little bit better and pick up the other players that, of course, Burke is managing to pick up.
Chuck Sabarin will take a breather. Jeff Foreman is into the game. Bridgeland directing traffic. Garth Thompson just dishes it off before his feet came back down to earth.
Once again,
turned the ball over.
Pardon me, around the Bisons, once again, too impatient down here at this offensive end.
Taves' three-point attempt falls short. Wesmen with the rebound. Foreman. Rebound, Thompson.
Good job by Garth Thompson as he blocks out Nick Jansen and comes down with that ball. What we're going to do now, if we're the Bisons, you see Eric Bridgeland walking it up. Wesmen in a tough man-to-man. What Coach Suffield wants is some half-court offense run here by his Bisons.
Eric Bridgeland. Bryant moving up. Great backdoor pass. Greg Philman has two.
Well, we saw the men in red come down with a beautiful give and go, and we've just seen those in white. That happened to be, of course, I should say, Greg Philman and Paul Bryant execute a beautiful give and go for an easy two down here at the other end.
Greg Philman now has 4 points on the game. Only picked up 2 in the first half. He now has 4. Taves. Taves can't get it to go, but he does draw the foul.
Once again, in terms of the Bisons, you cannot give, as we are going to see here. John Mathis is going to bring the ball down to Burke. You can't give up the baseline. If you're going to give up the baseline, you've got to have people rotate. And, of course, what happens is the Bisons don't rotate quickly enough, and you've got Burke Taves blowing by both David Philman and Garth Thompson.
Bear Bryant picking up his second personal of the game. Taves is 0 for 1. 0 for 2. You don't see that too often from Burke Taves.
No, in terms of Burke, he feels pretty confident at the line. But if we look at the foul shooting percentages for both of these teams, the Bison 70% from the charity stripe, and the Bison, I should say, on the Wesmen 68. They're not percentages that University coach likes to see.
I don't recall seeing David Philman hit as many shots from outside as he has. In the meantime, Burke Taves with a little bit of miscommunication. That pass for John Matheson out of his reach. Bisons turn the ball over. They lead 56-49.
Well, right now, with 15.5 minutes left in this game, and the Bisons enjoying a 7-point lead, this is not the time for the Winnipeg Wesmen to start to have a mental breakdown. We get a good look at Coach Wedlake there on your screen. He's a little bit concerned because in terms of crunch time, it's going to be that for the Wesmen right now. They're going to have to play tough D and stop the Bisons.
Philman back to Bridgeland. Bridgeland moves around. Taves, finger roll, and through. Taves and Bridgeland in the meantime bump as they try to assume position back down at the other end of the court. 58-49 Manitoba. 15-21 left to play in the second half.
An excellent job that time down at the offensive end by Eric Bridgeland. We got a steal here by Greg Philman.
And Philman throws it away. Just a little too far for Garth Thompson, who very quickly ran out of room and ran into the foamies there on the right side of your screen.
Well, in terms of Greg Philman, just as I mentioned earlier, what we have there is filling the lanes, rotating to the other people to take the passing lanes away from Burke Taves. Almost ended up with Bison steal.
Larry Wandowich to Jansen. Jansen being watched by Philman. Scott Anderson to Matheson. Wondowich puts it up. He's short. Turnover. No. Bridgeland is fouled. Taves grabbed him.
Dave's going to haul him down, and what he's doing there, of course, taking the breakaway away. That's very important for the Wesmen, Ron. With just over 14 minutes left in the game, they had to score. As a result, we got Coach Wedlake with the timeout.
It's game one of the best-of-3 GPAC semifinal series. The winner moves on to Brandon.
It's a thing called Husky pride. It's a feeling deep inside.
At Husky, we take pride in serving you. That means we take the time to do things right. Wherever you drive, you'll find a friendly smile and peace of mind. That's the spirit of Husky pride. We show it and you'll know it. At Husky, we're always ready to look after you.
The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championships are coming to the University of Winnipeg March 16th through the 18th. The 8 finest university teams, led by the Manitoba Bisons, will be battling for national supremacy. Tickets are now on sale at the University of Winnipeg Athletic Center. Tournament passes are specially priced at $8 for students and $10 for adults until March 12th. The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championships, March 16th through the 18th at the University of Winnipeg.
The perfect blind date dream come true.
I'm looking at a picture of her right now, and I'm telling you, she's an honest-to-God knockout.
What could have been a magical evening has turned into an unnerving series of events.
I know your ex-boyfriend's hobby is killing people, but what does he do professionally?
Defense lawyer.
For who? Jack the Ripper?
Look at the bright side. What else could happen?
Monday, March the 12th at 8 p.m.
Hi.
Make sure you catch Pump Up the Jazz on Sounds Unlimited, CKND TV.
In terms, once again, we talked about it this afternoon, penetration. We've seen it from Burke Taves, but here we're going to see it from Eric Bridgeland as we got a little give and go, and he takes it to the hole with the finger roll and scores.
Bridgeland picking up his first points of the second half. He now has 23. And the Wesmen, at this point, Laurie, they have to get a bucket.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Ron. As we've been mentioning, 14 and a half minutes left in this game, a 9-point differential. Coach Wedlake has taken that timeout specifically to get into his team mentally. They've started to make some real silly little errors, and what we need here, the Wesmen have to stop the Bisons here and come down and score. They must score to get themselves mentally back into this game.
They'll have to wait a little bit because Bisons have possession. Bridgeland to Bryant. Bryant moves up. Right side to Philman. Greg Philman back out to Bryant. Bryant moves up. The rebound underneath. Foul goes against the Wesmen. Scott Anderson.
Good job by the Bisons once again, moving the ball around. If we're going to get a look at it here, you're going to see some great inside movement here by number 33, Garth Thompson. And Scott Anderson has no choice but go over the back and foul.
Scott Anderson picks up his third personal of the ball game. 14:21 left to play. Game 2 of this series, by the way, is tonight at the Bison East Gym. Game time once again is 7:30. Game 3, if necessary, right back here at the Jungle. Game time Sunday would be 2 o'clock. It was sloppy, but they'll take it.
Good hustle by Dave Philman. That gives the Bisons the largest lead of the game at 60-49. And as we mentioned earlier, Ron, this time down the floor, the Wesmen must score.
19 points for David Philman. And as you mentioned, they've opened up their biggest lead of the ball game. 60-49, 13:50 left on the clock.
Well, John Matheson looks like he's going to get away with the travel there. We're going to have a foul that's going to go against the Bisons. That foul is going to go against Mark Kalinowski, his second.
Bill Wedlake starting to wonder what the heck they're going to have to do. Bisons 10-1 this year at the Bison East Gym. And the Wesmen finally score, as you just alluded to a short time ago. Nick Jansen with 2.
And that's Nick Jansen once again comes up big in the crunch situations for Winnipeg.
60-41.
Winnipeg going to go to that 1-3-1 zone. They're working really hard.
60-51 rather. 62-51.
Good job by the Bisons. What they do is bring the ball down to the baseline and bring it in. What we can see, once again, that 11-point lead. What's important, really important here, Ron, is the fact that the Bisons have been able to build this up without the services of Keon Filowich.
Scott Anderson. Bisons come back down. Eric Bridgeland. Keon Filowich sitting right in front of our broadcast location, waiting his opportunity to get into the ball game. Bisons come right back. They're not giving an inch at this point. It was Garth Thompson. And the lead is 11 once again.
Well, that's an excellent job by number 32, the Bear. As we've mentioned, you got to watch the Bear here in the jungle. He can dissect teams, and he did that to that 1-3-1 zone right there.
Thompson comes out of the ball game.
Going to have a look here in terms of that ball movement, make that zone work. Here we have it. In terms of the zone, what hurts the zone is penetration. You see the penetration by Bear Bryant and the easy 2 underneath the Garth Thompson.
Taves has Bridgeland in his face. Anderson right back to Taves. Taves moving to his left, loses the ball, comes down heavily on Bridgeland.
Real unfortunate turn of events there for the Bisons, Ron. What we had is, we talked about that earlier in the first half, when Burke Taves was making the penetration, there wasn't good rotation by the Bisons. That time we had rotation not only by Philman, but by Filowich as well. There was no need for Eric Bridgeland to reach for that ball. They had Burke Taves cut off.
Wesmen capitalized. Bridgeland has 2 fouls in the game. 12-20 left to play in the second half. There's a look at the score. Bridgeland slowing down the pace, loops it over Matheson. Bullet pass into Filowich. Bridgeland back to Bryant. Bryant to Bridgeland. Kalinowski has Taves all over him. Sabarin puts up a wall, and Filowich gets around it.
Great ball movement by the Bisons. Once again, coming down, moving the ball against that 1-3 zone. And what's happening, of course, they're really starting to hurt that zone inside. What happens when the zone gets hurt inside, Ron, is they're going to start to collapse. And then you're going to see Eric Bridgeland come to town once again.
Taves goes to his left, picks up the screen from Sabarin. He's fouled on his way to the basket. It'll go against David Philman.
Little lack of communication there by the Bisons. You see David Philman pointing to his head, I should say. He knows he made a silly error there. First of all, what he's got to do is he's got to call the screen. We're going to see a nice screen here by number 13, Charles Sabarin, and along comes Burke. Of course, what we've got to do, of course, is Dave Philman cannot be that lazy. What he's got to do is call the switch a lot sooner than he did.
Keon Filowich leads the Bisons with 3 fouls. Scott Anderson leads the Wesmen with 3.
Best ball check of the game right there by number 12, Greg Philman, as he stuffs Burke Taves from behind.
Bridgeland gets some great hang time.
There we go. Just as we mentioned, of course, what we had was in that zone situation, we had the Wesmen start to double down, start to move that defense down towards the baseline. And then what we have is Eric Bridgeland going to town. He'll feast up there.
Bridgeland now with 25 points. He had 26 last week against the Wesmen. His season high, as we mentioned at the half, is 29. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. The Wesmen get it off. And it's a Bison ball.
What we're starting to notice here with just over 10 minutes left in the game this afternoon here, Ron, is in terms of the Bisons defensively, they're really starting to talk to one another, and they're starting to rotate very well, and they're starting to really hurt the Wesmen in terms of that penetration. Mark Kalinowski cannot look to go one-on-one against the zone. Let's see some ball movement. Use the clock. You've got yourself a 13-point lead with just over 10 minutes left in this game.
Jeff Foreman comes into the ball game. Charles Sabarin will take a breather. Ron Lutzer is in as well for the Winnipeg Wesmen.
Well, as we can see in terms of those particular substitutions, Coach Wedlake wants another shooter on the floor. And that, of course, is Ron Lutzer. And what they're going to try and do is they need to hit a couple of threes here, not just to get back into the game, but to give themselves a little bit more confidence as well.
Greg Philman to Keon Filowich. Out to Eric Bridgeland. Bridgeland moves to his left, goes to his right. Yes.
Excellent
gets
move.
The bounce.
Excellent move by Eric there. As we can see, he's starting to really pick things up. We've got a timeout here by Coach Stuffio.
And that's our cue to take a timeout as well. 10:06 is the time remaining.
Your Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra is moving into a bright new era. But it takes hard work and dollars to maintain a vibrant, deficit-free orchestra. Ticket sales pay only half of the actual costs. What's needed to finish our symphony is you. Join the movement. Give your financial support to the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Call 942-4576.
You may be familiar with this environment. In fact, you may depend on it. For your infant, preschooler, or school-age child, you depend on quality childcare centers staffed with trained caregivers. They provide a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment. Professional caregivers working in licensed centers and nursery schools contribute an essential element to your child's development, an investment in Canada's future. A message from the Manitoba Child Care Association.
Hey, Otto man.
Hey, Bart dude.
Any new tattoos, Otto?
Oh, funny you should ask, man. This morning I woke up with this one.
Whoa, I want one.
Not till you're 14, my little friend.
There, Homer. You'll find a job. You can do it. Yeah, go for it, Dad.
You're right. Watch out. Here I come. The Simpsons, Wednesdays at 7:30 on CKND TV.
Don't give up, Dad.
The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championships are coming to the University of Winnipeg March 16th through the 18th. The 8 finest university teams, led by the Manitoba Bisons, will be battling for national supremacy. Tickets are now on sale at the University of Winnipeg Athletic Center. Tournament passes are specially priced at $8 for students and $10 for adults until March 12th. The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championships, March 16th through the 18th at the University of Winnipeg.
Here we see what we've got, the nice move here coming up by Eric Bridgeland as he puts the fake on Burke Taves, switches the ball over and hits nothing but mesh. Gets a little extra roll though as well. Get a look at Coach Wedlake here with 15 minutes, with 10 minutes left in the game and a 15-point differential. What he wants to do is he's got to go man-to-man and they've got to go hard. If you're the Bisons and we've got Winnipeg going man-to-man, you've got to look to get it down inside to Filowich and Philman.
So far this half, Bridgeland has 6 points. Burke Taves has been shut out. It's completely opposite to what we're used to seeing here on Game of the Week when these two teams meet. Burke Taves in the past, this season anyway, has owned the floor, whether it's here at the Bison East or whether it's at the Athletic Center as far as Game of the Week is concerned. There's a look at Eric Bridgeland. He's a freshman here at the U of M. You have to figure that Coach Rick Suffield is extremely excited to think that he's getting this kind of performance out of a freshman. He's very composed, always composing himself.
Well, what we've had is last weekend in terms of Eric Bridgeland, he certainly came to play Saturday night, and he gave Burke Taves fit at the defensive end. And what we're going to see is it continue on again tonight.
Keon Filowich comes down with the defensive rebound. And it's Mark Kalinowski bringing the ball down court. He's in the corner being watched by number 5, Ron Lutzer. Eric Bridgeland. Top of the key. Going to his right. He's fouled. It'll go against number 23, John Matheson.
That's a good job by Bridgeland now as he penetrates. What we've got to do, however, if we're the Bisons, Ron, we've got to calm down here a little bit. We've got a 15-point lead, but there's a lot of time left. We don't really have to score all that much. Let's start to work the ball and let's start to work the clock.
Greg Philman to David Philman, and he'll pick up 2 more. Excellent. David Philman's doing what he always does. He just very quietly has a great game.
Well, David has just been super, not only at the defensive end, but as we can see, converting at the offensive end. The key to that, however, was the beautiful ball movement by the Bisons, triggered by number 12, younger brother Greg Philman.
Nice pass by Burke Taves.
That's Burke Taves at his best. As we can see, the penetration. Once again, the Bisons a little bit lazy. They didn't rotate. And what we have is Burke is able to dish the ball over to a wide open Jeff Foreman.
Great pass inside. 72-57 is the score. 8:58 is the time remaining in the second half.
It's the jungle.
It's the jungle.
The natives are restless. Watch out.
It's a zoo out there. Anybody we know, Laurie?
It doesn't matter. She was young and beautiful. That's all that counts.
Here come the Manitoba Bisons, led by Greg Philman.
Greg Philman here in the jungle. We're talking the first game this afternoon of GPAC playoff action, and it's hot down here.
Keon Filowich to Greg Philman. The jumper from the top of the key doesn't go. Lutzer very slowly jogs across center court. Whips it ahead to Taves. Taves. Matheson. Doesn't go. Rebound. Greg Philman.
What we
Here
can
come
see
the herd.
Last few times down the floor, Ron, starting to get real sloppy. What we have here, and it's an excellent timeout called by Coach Suffield right now. He doesn't like what he sees there on the floor.
72-57. Bison's leading at this point. There's 8:12 left to play. The pace hasn't slowed down one bit, as you said it wouldn't.
No, we mentioned these teams will not run out of gas. That was an excellent timeout by Coach Suffield. What we have is a couple of exchanges up and down the floor. Of course, the Wesmen, they want to push up the pace because they've got to score to get back in the game. What Coach Suffield is, he doesn't want the Bisons to now get in a run-and-gun gym rat game with the Wesmen. They've got the lead. They've got the clock. What he wants to see is some good half-court execution here.
We'd like to remind you that this is game one of a best-of-3 semifinal series. The winner moves on to Brandon to take on the first-place Bobcats. Game 2 of the series goes tonight. It's right here at the Bison East Gym. The jungle will be rocking again tonight. The Bisons hosting the Wesmen. Game 3, if necessary, tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, again, here at the Bison East Gym.
In terms of GPAC playoff action, as you're mentioning, Ron, we're going to get a good look here at vintage Burke Taves. Eric Bridgen a little late to come out, and what we have, the rotation a little bit slow, and what we have is Burke Taves picking out a wide-open Jeff Foreman for an easy 2.
While I have a moment, I'd like to mention the fact that last week on Game of the Week, we had an opportunity to see Burke Taves being congratulated and more or less being saluted by his hometown fans and by Coach Wedlake and athletic director of the U of W, Aubrey Ferris, and for a job well done in his 5 years as a Westman. Well, Saturday night here at the Bison East, the Bisons did likewise for fifth-year veteran David Philman, who, as well as Taves, is playing in his final season, and he at this point has 23 points in the ball game, and he deserves just as much credit for a great career here at the U of M as Burke Taves does over at the U of W.
There we have Ron Lutzer from the baseline. That's why Coach Wedlake substituted him into the game. What we've got to do if we're the Bisons is we've got to show some patience here.
Ball comes all the way across to Kalinowski.
Foul can go against Nick Jansen.
Bisons lead by 12.
Good job here by the Bisons, as that time they came down. They showed a little bit more patience, what they're going to need. As you mentioned, Ron, both those players, David Philman and Burke Taves, being honored by both the universities. I'd like to take time out to honor another individual. That's Mr. Mortimer Wedlake, who will be celebrating his 98th birthday.
All right, Mortimer. Happy birthday. And we hope that you enjoy many more. Lutzer inside to a wide open Matheson. Foul will go against Garth Thompson.
Great block by Keon Filowich.
Number 33, Garth Thompson.
Matheson was wide open at this point.
Good look by number 5, Ron Lutzer, as Matheson takes it to the hole and takes it up strong.
Kalinowski has 6 points in this ball game, both as a result of 3-point shots.
Well, as we mentioned when Mark was brought on, Ron, what he's there for, of course, is to shoot the basketball. And if we get a situation, if we're the Bisons, and we have Eric Bridgeland and number 22, Mark Kalinowski, if you get both of them hot at the same time, they're going to light up the scoreboard.
Matheson 2 for 2 from the line. Just over 7 minutes remaining. The Bisons lead at 75-62. Travel called against Keon Filowich. He was tripped up, it appeared, by Jeff Foreman.
Once again, what you've got to look at, though, is we've got Keon Filowich in a situation where he has to handle the ball, and that doesn't make Coach Suffield happy at all. What he wants is either Kalinowski or Bridgeland, or if in this case, Philman. He's got 3 of them out there. He wants them to come and get the basketball.
One thing the fans here at the Bison East love is when something happens to Burke Taves.
Well, you know that when you're a player, the quality of Burke Taves, what's going to happen is you're going to draw a lot of fouls, and you're going to also draw a lot of wrath from the crowd.
Especially that particular group of the crowd. It's the zoo.
We got to look at some of the inhabitants of the jungle here. Get a look at them again. As you can see, they're out in full dress. They're definitely not holding back. So once again, as Ron has mentioned, everyone, we're enjoying it here this afternoon. This is a reminder that Game 2 is going to take place here once again tonight at 7:30. Come on down to Bison East if you dare.
David Philman back into the ball game for the Herd. Matheson comes down with it. Taves comes away with it. Back to Matheson. Matheson stops, turns, goes back out to Anderson. Anderson. Lutzer for 3. Hits another one.
That's 2 in a row by Ron Lutzer. Those are the type of exchanges that Coach Suffield does not want. What he has is down at the offensive end here. The Bison's not showing patience, giving up the ball, and the Wesmen going down, and they're getting back into this game. There's only a 10-point lead now, Ron.
Bear Bryant getting ready to come into the ball game. The action is hot and heavy.
That's a great pass by number 22, Mark Kalinowski. One of the few times that David Philman wasn't able to convert.
Keon Filowich holding. You saw his right arm grab Nick Jansen's left arm.
Well, what we had there on our replay, we got to see Keon a little bit lazy. Didn't get around. The result, of course, 4 big ones on number 44, David Philman, with, Keon Filowich, with just under 6 minutes left in this game this afternoon.
Nick Jansen will go to the line with 5:50 remaining in the second half. The difference in this ball game is now 9. And it's still 9. Jansen 1 for 2. Suffield is up and out of his chair, barking instructions. There he is, bottom right of your screen. Philman puts it back out to Bryant, gets the return pass. He'll head for the net.
Good job by number 12, Greg Philman, as he penetrates and then dishes off to number 55. You saw the big back of 55 there on your screen as older brother Dave converts.
One of the main reasons David Philman came back to play for the U of M this year is because it was his only opportunity to play with his brother, Greg. David Philman ahead to Bryant. He's all alone. Oh my!
It's a good job by number 15, Scott Anderson. He gets up there and rejects that ball, but of course, that's goaltending, and it's going to count. What you've got to do is you got to look back to Greg Philman. Great job on the steal right here as he knocks it to brother Dave, and Dave headmans the ball to number 32, the Bear, Paul Bryant, and it causes another timeout being called by Coach Wedlake.
I tell you what, it looked good from our vantage point. Another timeout called. We'll take a break. CK&E Game of the Week will return after this timeout.
This is CLR. Clear. An amazing product that instantly dissolves calcium and lime stains that you can't scrub away. Watch as CLR dissolves the hard water scales from this humidifier filter. Have you ever seen anything like it? No amount of scrubbing was able to remove the stains from this coffee decanter. But a little CLR and water gets it crystal clean instantly. Watch how Clear wipes away hard water film from tile. Make shower doors shine crystal clear. CLR instantly removes unsightly rust stains from your bathtub, sink, and toilet bowl. And nothing cleans your coffee maker, steam iron, tea kettle, or pots and pans faster or better. Get CLR. It will work for you or your money back.
Available at Canadian Tire, Woolco, Woolworth, Kmart, Kresge, Zellers, Home Hardware, Pro Hardware, Co-op stores, Do-It Centers, Beaver Lumber, and Safeway.
I don't want everybody to go with the dribbler on that last one. You got to pick them up properly, right? Everybody went with the dribbler and the pitch man was open. Right? You should have the strong side post coverage when you're top of your triangle. Right? Okay, so this guy can stay here. Right? He'll go and get the ball. You drop down the strong side post coverage. Drop the back. There's only one shooter out there. Now play it tough. Don't go get the other guy.
In layman's terms, Laurie?
Well, what Coach Wedlake is saying is that in terms of the Bisons, not to panic. They really only have one shooter out there, and that one shooter is number 4, Eric Bridgeland. But what's happening is the Wesmen are starting to chase people, especially chase the Bison that has the ball, and as a result, leaving people open and making people shooters who really aren't. And what's happening is they're hurting the Wesmen.
Scott Anderson picks up 2. We have to mention the fact that David Philman at this point leads all scorers with 28. Bridgeland right behind with 27.
Well, in terms of Coach Suffield, that's something he's got to like, because that what it means to him, of course, is that the inside-outside game is working for the Bison. Great pass. That's one of the reasons that David Philman's going to get so many. The Bear is starting to dissect the Wesmen defense.
Philman has 30. As you mentioned, great play by Bryant. But Anderson comes back. He's on a roll.
That's a great job by Scott Anderson as he answers once again. Of course, Big Filowich with 4 fouls. Got to play him a little bit lenient, but Coach Suffield doesn't want him to give that much of a room.
Anderson has 10. 8 of them in the second half. Bryant to Philman. Philman to Greg. He takes the ball off the face, and he'll pick up an assist as a result. Keon Filowich with 2.
That's a real tough pass. I'm pretty sure that in terms of Greg, he doesn't want to give too many passes like that.
83-70 Manitoba. Starting to open it up once again.
That's going to be it for Keon Filowich.
That is his 5th foul. He's talking about it. There you see he's got a smile on his face. He says, "Are you guys crazy? It couldn't have been me."
Well, you're going to have a look here. In terms of Keon, he gives Scott Anderson, he gives him the baseline. Scott comes back into him. What Keon is saying is, no, no, no. First of all, it was a travel. And secondly, it might have been an offensive foul by Scott Anderson. But regardless, it's the 5th on Keon Filowich. And with just over 3.5 minutes left, Keon Filowich is gone for the Bisons.
Keep running and make a pass. And even
83-70, Manitoba leading the Western. We'll take another break. Don't go away. We've got loads more basketball from the Bison East Gym.
Take the short drive to Steinbach, the automobile city, where you shop and compare at your own pace. No running around in circles. In Steinbach, there are 10 auto dealerships, all within a few city blocks of each other. In fact, Steinbach is like one big shopping mall for cars, and once you've shopped for the best deal, why not take a look around? Steinbach is fun for everyone. From car buying to just hanging around, it's worth the trip.
It's all so boring here, Margot. There's nothing but playboys and tennis pros. If only I could find a real man.
She'll call you back.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond.
Timothy Dalton makes his television debut as debonair secret agent 007 in James Bond, The Living Daylights, Sunday at 8 on CKND TV.
Keon Filowich fouls out of the ball game with 10 points and with 3:49 left to play.
Well, as we see, Keon, good job. Unfortunately for Keon, got into some foul trouble early in the first half this afternoon and had to sit a great deal of the second half.
Scott Anderson at the line. Isn't it Keon Filowich's birthday today?
Keon Filowich, it looks like he's the big 2-1 today.
Or, well, we should say he turned 21 on Friday. A happy belated birthday to Keon Filowich. The Westmen trail by 11. 3.5 minutes to go. David Philman to Greg Philman. Greg all the way out to Bryant. To his right is Garth Thompson. To his left is Bridgeland. Bridgeland moves up against Taves and picks up 2, and he now has 29 on the afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a shot by Eric Bridgeland. First of all, passed up the easy shot at the foul line and made the real tough one down on the baseline against number 10, Bert Taves.
Taves, at this point, has been shut out in the second half up until there. He picks up his first 2 points of the second half. He has 18 on the day.
Well, what we're into right now, Ron, 3 minutes left in the game and a 10-point differential. We're going to see which team has the patience to run their half-court man-to-man.
Long lead pass from Lutzer to Anderson, and he's fouled.
That foul is going to go against number 33, Garth Thompson. He didn't want to let Scott Anderson get the easy hoop. What we have there is a big switch. We got Paul Bryant came up a little bit short inside on the glass, and now we've got Anderson once again down on the foul line here.
Anderson has really come to life in the second half. He had 2 in the first half. He now has 10 for a total of 12 on the game. He's at the line once again.
Well, what we're going to look at with about 2.5 minutes left, if Scott Anderson converts this one, Ron, is we're going to have a situation here this afternoon where we're going to have a 2.5-minute game, and the Bisons are going to enjoy an 8-point bulge. If we're the Bisons, we don't want the Wesmen to score at this particular time when the clock is stopped. Little stoppage in play.
Timeout called by the official. You can hear us as long as the entire Bison's gym. We just all stopped and wondered, what was that for?
Well, what we have is that official's timeout as some of the animals here in the jungle. What they did is give the referees a symbol of what they thought of that last call.
And what was that symbol?
Great move by Garth Thompson. He fakes, puts Scott Anderson up in the air and hits it on the glass.
Ron Lutzer. Dave dishes it off.
Going to be a travel ball. Going to have to call travel ball here, I think. Oh, he's going to call a foul here on 32, Bear Bryant. I thought that what we were going to have is referee Crimble was going to come off the baseline, Ron, and make a real tough call here. We're going to get a look at it. The guy that you've got to watch here, of course, is... this one is going to be the Bridgeland shot. The real tough one as he comes down and takes Bert Taves low. In terms of Nick Jansen here at the line, what I thought we were going to see was referee Crimble come off that baseline run and call Nick Jansen for travel ball.
I was anticipating that as well.
What we had was Dave Philman rotate really well. And when Nick looked up, we had David Philman right there in his face.
Scott Anderson, by the way, at this point has 14 on the day. 2:15 is the time remaining. Matheson picking up his 4th foul on the day. 87-77. Manitoba leading the University of Winnipeg as you take a look at Bill Wedlake.
Well, what we have is Coach Wedlake. He wants his team to pick the Bisons up full court. We're going to go full court man-to-man. And what could happen here, of course, is we've got to see the mental toughnesses of the Bisons. Can they execute their half-court offense?
Bridgeland had a lane, an opening down the lane, and he just lost control of the ball. He's being helped up by Jansen.
Change of possession. That's going to go over to the Wesmen. They can cut it to an 8-point differential with 2 minutes left in this afternoon's game. If they do not score this time down the floor, be ready to see a quick foul by the Wesmen.
Lutzer on his right has Philman in front of him. This is Taves on his left. Behind the back pass to Anderson. Anderson over his head to Matheson. Matheson battling a couple of Bisons, puts it up, gets the rebound. He'll go up again. Rebound. Anderson with 2 more.
Good job by Scott Anderson and Johnny Matheson as they work hard on the offensive glass. Coach Suffield not happy. What we've got to do, we're the Bisons, we can't stand around and watch. You're going to see Matheson drive hard to the baseline, put the shot up, and then here he comes, follows his own. Scott Anderson gets himself in good position, goes up strong and scores.
The Bisons lead by 8.
Bison's got to show some patience here, Ron.
10 seconds left on the shot clock. Bridgeland back out to Bryant. And Philman is fouled by Ron Lutzer.
Foul is going to go on Lutzer, and what we're looking at, as I said, we're talking about we could get down to a foul shooting contest to save the Bisons. Mentioned earlier in this afternoon's telecast, shooting 70% from the foul line, not the percentage you want from a university team. It should be a little bit better, but in terms of the Bisons, this could be the player they want at the line, because Greg Philman is shooting 90% from the line.
Greg Philman has 4 points on the afternoon. We'll try to increase those totals.
That's a big one right there. As I said, for the Bisons, the people that you might want at the foul line, number 32, Paul Bryant, and number 12, Greg Philman, who is the leader from the charity stripe. As you see, a whopping 90%. The Wesmen do not want to foul him.
Well, he's 100% from the line this afternoon. He was 19 for 21 during the regular season. The Bisons lead it by 10 once again. There's 1:10 left to play in the second half.
The old corral is overstocked, so Kern Hill will be paying your sales tax or no interest, no payments on all display merchandise. Mosey on down today, and you'll find fantastic deals on living room, bedroom, dining room, and that includes appliances, too. It's all here for immediate delivery, so put your brand on a great deal today. We will pay your sales tax on furniture and appliances. That's at Kern Hill Furniture Co-op, 843 Main Street. We're knocking the living daylights out of our competitors' prices, so come on down.
The spirit of John Warrenfield still walks the halls of the Briarcliff Hotel. Do you believe that legend, Miss Warrenfield?
Yes.
Why?
I've seen things.
Isn't it true you believe the figure that chased you down the hall was the ghost of your grandfather?
It was my grandfather.
Do you expect us to believe it?
It's what I saw.
That's right. Yes, that's right. So let's make sure that Eric and Greg go back to the ball, okay?
And you guys, 1 minute, 10 seconds left, you guys.
If we play good D, let's work the clock, okay? Work the clock. Come on, let's go. 1, 2, 3, defense.
Well, we got to listen there in terms of Rick Suffield. As you can see, CIU Coach of the Year in 85 and 86. Prior to that, of course, at Gordon Bell High School here in Winnipeg. But as far as Coach Suffield is concerned for this last minute and 10 seconds, very simple. What we want to do is offensively show some patience and work the clock. The people that we want to handle the ball for the U of M is number 4, Eric Bridgeland, and number 12, Greg Philman. Force the Winnipeg Wesmen to foul these two and put them at the line.
And the clock now the biggest factor for Bill Wedlake. Burke Taves out to Anderson. Anderson has the hot hand for the Wesmen in the second half. He gets the roll. You can count it. He'll go to the line.
As far as Garth Thompson is concerned, committing a big sin there. You've got Scott Anderson out around the three-point area. We don't want to foul, first of all, but more importantly, Ron, you just mentioned it, the biggest thing here this afternoon right now is the clock. And what we've done is, what we've managed to do is we've just stopped that clock.
Garth Thompson has fouled out of the game for the Bisons as well. He picks up his 5th personal. That comes with 59 seconds left to play, and it comes with his club in front, 89-81. Let's listen to the Bison huddle.
To use the clock, and if you're going to get fouled, you better hit the shots down at this end. Let's block out right now. Come on. 1, 2, 3, D.
As far as Coach Suffield is concerned, very short, very sweet, Ron. I mean, you mentioned the clock. What we've got to do here is not let the Wesmen score when the clock is stopped. What he wants is he wants some good, tough defense, some good blocking out, move the ball. In terms of the loss of Garth Thompson, it does hurt us on the boards, is what Coach Suffield is going to say, but at the same time, it gets number 22, Mark Kalinowski, another ball handler, into the game for the Bisons.
Anderson misses a big one.
Well, we mentioned earlier here in this afternoon's telecast, the Wesmen 68 from the line, the Bison 70. If we're a GPAC team, that is really scary. You've got to be upwards around 80%, 75 at the least. You've got to hurt people at the foul line.
Nick Jansen responsible for that last foul, his 3rd. The Bear is at the line as a result. Swish.
Nothing but mesh. Over the last 3 weeks, in my estimation, this has been the most consistent Bison. He's really come in some pressure situations. He knows who to get the ball to, and right now he knows how important these foul shots are.
Bisons end up with the ball thanks to David Philman.
Great rebound by David Philman. Real tough mental error there by the Wesmen. Of course, what they figure is Paul Bryant's not going to miss. Unfortunately, guys, for the Bisons, he did. You got to be ready. You can't be standing there looking around.
Well, we have a number of nominees for our Husky Oil Player of the Game. At this point, I would have to think our leading contender would be David Philman.
Well, I would have to agree with you in terms of David. He played a real strong game. Bridgeland, of course, fired the Bisons up in the first half, and we can see that the young man can really play. But Philman has just been a model of consistency.
Lutzer finds an opening, but his shot falls short. White ball. 36 seconds left on the clock. The Bisons lead it by 9.
Well, what we have is we're going to foul immediately if we don't steal the inbound pass for the Wesmen. And, of course, I think that one's going to go against Burke Taves.
And that's his 4th of the afternoon. One more and he's gone. He fouled out last Saturday, much to the delight of the Bison East crowd.
Well, if we have a situation, I'll tell you right now, Ron, here in the jungle this afternoon, if the next time down the floor, the Wesmen have to foul, and if it's number 10, Burke Taves, the roof will come off this place. I can guarantee you that.
Jason Friesen into the ball game for the Wesmen. Greg Philman waiting patiently at the line.
Last year's GPAC Rookie of the Year.
Doesn't happen often, but he missed.
Well, once again, as we keep on laboring on the point here this afternoon, what we've got to do here, if we want to make it to the CIU finals, we got to shoot a lot better than 68 and 70% from the foul line, Ron.
Bridgeland moves way out, almost to center. Moves around Lutzer, moves around Anderson, draws the foul. It'll go against Anderson.
Well, it's one of those two that are going to have to foul to stop the clock, because as we saw, number 10, Burke Taves, standing way down on the baseline. He does not want to foul out. He didn't enjoy it last Saturday, and he doesn't want to foul out here this afternoon, because I'll tell you, Ron, the place will go crazy, and that will help the Bisons on Saturday night.
The Zoo starting the na-na-na chant. And it's coming with 25 seconds left to play. A few more substitutions for the Wesmen.
We're going to have to do a little adjustment here on the score clock. Referee timeout. Bridgeland scored that free throw.
They changed the clock. They
gave it to the Wesmen.
That's right. They gave it to the Wesmen. Paul Bryant came over, told his coach, hey, coach, they gave it to the wrong team.
In the game all the time, Paul Bryant.
Burke Taves hustling down court. Savarin with the rebound. Timeout, Wesmen.
Great follow by Chuck Savarin.
16 seconds is the time remaining. Wesmen trail 92-83. And in the funny world of basketball, lots of time left. Stay with us.
It's time, Winnipeg. Time for Pulack Furniture's midwinter sale. And it's the best time for you to take advantage of the savings. You'll find brand name furniture and appliances at fantastic prices. Sofa units, coffee tables, and dining room suites all at outstanding savings. Put no money down OAC and make no payments till May 1990. Now is the time to save. Now's the time to visit Pulack Furniture during their midwinter sale. On now at 880 Nairn, open weekdays 9 to 9 and Saturdays 9 to 5.
This winter, choose the high-performance gasoline, Formula Shell Gold. It delivers clean winter starts and smooth acceleration. Go for performance. Go for Formula Shell Gold.
The movie's on.
There he comes along, yeah.
You always match up. I switch all screens.
Eric, you come off the top and go right down to the corner, get the ball. Don't get a charge, though. Okay? No, they've got 16 on the clock.
There's 2 opportunities for possessions there. This is working very well for us. Okay, now 112, look north, Green, try to draw the charge, Green, get a rebound on that free throw now. So let's go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Well, in terms of Coach Suffield, what he's looking there is he wants the ball in the hands of Eric Bridgeland here for these next few seconds because he wants Eric at the line. In terms of Coach Wedlake of the Wesmen, what he wants to do, of course, is try and, for the Wesmen, the key word, of course, is possessions.
Mark Kalinowski is fouled almost immediately.
Well, that's a good job by Charles Sabran. You only see 2 seconds go off the clock. Once again, in terms of the Bisons, you got to keep that ball moving. Let's get as many seconds off that clock as we can.
Eric Bridgeland with 21 first half points, 10 in the second half. You're watching him with his season high. He has 31 on the day. David Philman in the meantime, 11 in the first half, 16 so far in the second half. And to the delight of everybody here at the Bison East, he has 27.
Good job, as we mentioned once again, with those point totals. David Philman inside, Eric Bridgeland outside. That's a really nice compliment, and as a basketball coach, that's what you like to see.
10 seconds left to play. Berg-Taves for 3. Nope. He puts it up. Eric Bridgeland went down heavily. Taves leans back, helps him up. 4 seconds is the time left on the clock. The Bisons lead it by 11. Foul went against Eric Bridgeland, his 3rd on the day, and he's smarting a little bit.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to hurt Eric right there is pride a little bit. He knows that he shouldn't have gone up and chased that, and what he had was just a little floor reminder there. You get a little bit of a joke here from Coach Suffield as he says to Eric, what you're going to find out is that the hardwood here at the Bison East is a little bit more, has a little more sting to it than my words do. So maybe it's best for you healthy ways to stay down.
Some tough rebounding. David Philman hanging on to the ball. And that'll do it. The clock runs out, and the Manitoba Bisons are up and off their feet. And this ball game is in the books. The Manitoba Bisons 94, the Winnipeg Wesmen 84. The Bisons have taken a 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 GPAC semifinal. We'll be back to wrap things up in just a moment.
The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championships are coming to the University of Winnipeg March 16th through the 18th. The 8 finest university teams, led by the Manitoba Bisons, will be battling for national supremacy. Tickets are now on sale at the University of Winnipeg Athletic Center. Tournament passes are specially priced at $8 for students and $10 for adults until March 12th. The CIAU Men's Volleyball Championship, March 16th through the 18th at the University of Winnipeg.
Announcing a success story. The Variety Club Telethon 10th Anniversary Special, Sunday, April 1st. 14 hours of variety entertainment live.
Open your heart, Manitoba, and enjoy the show.
Why did Alto's Family Restaurants commit $50,000 to the Variety Club Telethon? Because we believe in Variety's projects, and especially Variety's children. Give a kid a chance.
Variety, the children's charity on CKND.
Back here at the Bison East Gym, the difference is 10, and as a result, the Bisons have a 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 GPAC semifinal. Our Husky Oil players of the game today come from the Manitoba Bisons, Eric Bridgeland and David Philman. Bridgeland finishing the day leading all scorers with 31 points, David Philman with 27. An outstanding afternoon of basketball here on CKND's Game of the Week, especially for Eric Bridgeland. He had a season-high 31 points today.
Well, in terms of Eric, as we've mentioned, he's been brought up here to shoot the basketball, which he did very effectively this afternoon. Also, if you're Coach Suffield, you like to hear that big score from David Philman inside. What that lets you know, of course, is that your inside-outside game is working, and as far as Coach Suffield has got to be concerned, he's got to feel real happy about it. Now, for the Wesmen, what they've got to do is they've got to come back here tonight and try and get out of the jungle with a win, and it's going to be very tough.
Suffield also has to be pleased with the fact that his defense limited Burke Taves to just 3 points in the second half. He led all Wesmen shooters with 19 total points.
Well, in terms of Burke, what happened, of course, we mentioned the fact that the penetration had to be stopped, which the Bison defense did. Then what we needed, of course, was better rotation to the people that Burke was trying to get the ball to this afternoon, which they managed to do.
The Bisons now just need one more win to advance. The Wesmen, one more loss, and they're out. So it's going to be one heck of a ball game tonight.
Well, you've mentioned it before. Here this afternoon, they really felt the heat in the jungle. And once again tonight, it's going to be really tough for Coach Wedlake and the Wesmen to come away with a win.
All right, Laurie, just a reminder that game time tonight, again, here at the Bison East Gym is 7:30. It's the Wesmen and the Bisons in Game 2. Game 3, if necessary, tomorrow afternoon. Game time, again, here in the jungle is 2 o'clock. Once again, our final score from this afternoon's ball game, the Manitoba Bisons 94, the Winnipeg Wesmen 84. Well, this is our final Game of the Week telecast for another season. We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and thank everybody who helped us along the way. And on behalf of Laurie May, Dan Peugeot, Stu James, and the rest of our broadcast crew, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next fall, everybody.
The University of Manitoba Bisons and the Winnipeg Wesmen went right down to the thinnest of threads. The result would make a premier proud.
The Premier of Manitoba, Gary Philman, is the proud papa of 2 members of the Bisons team. Number 12 is Greg Philman. He was second leading scorer for the Herd today with 11 points. The top scorer and the man everybody was dishing off to today was number 55, and that's brother David Philman. David led the way for Manitoba by netting 23 points. We're picking up the action very late in the game. Philman tries to go around for the field goal, but he's fouled. He will give the Bisons a 2-point lead, 73-71, by sinking the free throw. 15 seconds left. The Wesmen bring the ball up court, and everybody thinks they're going to their leading scorer, number 15, Scott Anderson, who had 21 in the afternoon, but they didn't, and they got the 2 points from the outside. It was tied at 73 with 15 seconds left, and a huge crowd was on its feet. The Bisons bring the ball up court. It's Eric Bridgeland, number 4, Manitoba's other big gun guard, who is controlling the play. And number 4 was fouled, and he steps up to the line. Well, talk about pressure. Premiers get time before they have to make decisions about Meech Lakes. Bridgeland coolly ices the throw, and Manitoba leads by 1. This time, the Wesmen go to Anderson with the Hail Mary. Too many steps or too much time before sinking the field goal. It was traveling. The Manitoba Bisons defeat the Winnipeg Wesmen 74-73 to advance against the Brandon Bobcats for the GPAC Championship in another best-of-3 next weekend.
Manitoba got off to a losing start at the Canadian Men's Curling Championships today.
Is off to a terrible start at the Canadian Men's Curling Championships being played in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. As we go to the scoreboard and see what he did in his opening 2 rounds today, first off, he lost to the Territories 7-6, and then tonight, New Brunswick 6, Manitoba 4. Let's go to the highlights now of some other action today.
Saskatchewan led 2-0 in the third end, but Northern Ontario's Al Harnden had the hammer, and he uses it to take out the Saskatchewan Rock and stick to score 3 and go ahead by a score of 3-2. In the next end, Saskatchewan's Jamie Schneider held the hammer, and as he tries to get around an Ontario guard to get to the shot rock, he hits it. And that allows Northern Ontario to steal 2 and take a 5-2 lead after 4 ends. Saskatchewan trailed 6-3 after the 6th, but in the 7th, they have shot rock and a chance to score 2. But Schneider comes up light, and his rock would curl right into the Northern Ontario guard, giving him a single point, still trailing by 2. In the 8th end, Saskatchewan lies 2 and sets up the guard. Harnden goes for the takeout, and he manages to bump out 1. But the Schneider team steals 1 to reduce Northern Ontario's lead to 6-5 going to the 9th end. Harnden kept the hammer with that Saskatchewan point, and he uses it in the 9th end. Saskatchewan lies 1. All the Northern Ontario skip has to do is bump and stick with his last rock and pick up a pair. After 9 ends, he held an 8-5 lead. In the 10th, Saskatchewan lies 2 after Schneider's first rock. But Harnden uses his first stone to take out one of the Saskatchewan rocks, preventing them from coming back from their 3-point deficit. The teams shake hands. Northern Ontario wins it 9-5 to open the Brier. Mark Connolly, CBC Sports.
The standings after day 1 have Northern Ontario and Ontario with 2-0 records on top. Meanwhile, BC and Manitoba share last place with records of 0-2. On to basketball now. The Manitoba Bisons have advanced to the GPAC final next weekend against Brandon. They got there by beating the Winnipeg Wesmen this afternoon. Midway through the first half, the Manitoba Bisons had a 7-point lead, but the Wesmen would come back before halftime, thanks in part to the shooting of Burke Taves. Here he bombs for 3. At halftime, the Wesmen only trailed by 2. In the second half, the Bisons took control early, and with about 5 minutes to go, they were ahead 68-60. But the Wesmen came back with 8 straight points and capped it here to tie the game at 68. Now down to the closing seconds of this ball game. The Wesmen were trailing 73-70 when Ron Lutzer nails a 3-pointer with just 15 seconds to go in the ball game. That tied the score at 73. Now the Bisons bring the ball back up, and with just 2 seconds to go in the game, number 4, Eric Bridgeland, is fouled. He goes to the line and makes the first shot. That gave the Bisons a 74-73 lead. Now with just 2 seconds to go, the Wesmen have their final chance. But the basket doesn't count. Traveling is called on the play. The Manitoba Bisons defeat the Winnipeg Wesmen 74-73.
It feels unbelievable. I don't think I've ever felt this euphoric. It's unbelievable. I mean, it makes it all the more amazing that I saw my whole career flash before me on that last play.
Well, I'm very proud of our team. I think we really held our composure. The fans were fantastic, and I'll give a lot of credit to Winnipeg. They came, they played their hearts out. It was just a great college basketball game. I think I've lost 10 pounds, but it was just both teams played their hearts out, and it's unfortunate that one of us had to lose.
So next weekend, the Manitoba Bisons travel to Brandon for a best 2 out of 3 final, GPAC final that is, with the winner going on to the national championships. Staying with college basketball now, a tragic story. The leading scorer in U.S. college basketball last year is dead. Hank Gathers from
dead at the age of 23. Now to brighter news. On Friday night, the Manitoba Bisons took Game 1 of the GPAC men's basketball semifinal. Saturday night, the Winnipeg Wesmen bounced back to even the score. Sunday afternoon, the stage was set for a thrilling finale between the crosstown rivals. A jam-packed jungle, and the Bison supporters did not shut up from the opening tip-off. The Herd off and running. Greg Philman drives to the basket, 2 of his 11. The Wesmen kept it close in the first half. Burke Taves gets nothing but net. Wesmen were down 38-36 at halftime. Second half, Ron Lutzer will take flight, and he adds a little flair. Nice hoop. The Wesmen took a 50-49 lead. Bisons up again. Then the Wesmen came back. Taves to Scott Anderson. Nice play. He had 21 on the day. Wesmen down by 5. Then Eric Bridgeland feeds Greg Philman, who in the air puts one in. Takes a foul, gets 3 on the play. Bisons stay up by 5 points. Winnipeg doesn't back down, though. Taves with a dish to Nick Jansen, 2 of his 20. This ties the game at 68, 3 minutes left. The Philman brothers then go to work. Dave hits a jumper, 70-68 Bisons. Then Greg will take the ball to the basket, 72-68 Manitoba by 4. Then 73-70, Lutzer loads up and fires from three-point land, hitting, tying it up at 73 with 30 seconds left. As Bill Wedlake wondered, the Wesmen take a foul with 2 seconds left. Eric Bridgeland at the line hits this free throw for the 1-point lead. Last chance, throw in by Winnipeg. Time runs out for the Wesmen. The Bisons win 74-73, taking the GPAC semifinal 2-1. Oh, what a finish. The Bisons win it. Now they head to Brandon next weekend. A best-of-3 GPAC final with the defending CIAU champions. Game 1 is Friday night at Brandon U. Ideal conditions today for golf. Greg Norman has gained a rather